Hi everyone, welcome to Diademy IAS. In this video, we are going to discuss about 2024 mains optional English literature trend analysis. How UPSC asks the questions and which are the trends and which are the area focused in the question paper. So here let's discuss about the question how and which are the areas normally concentrated UPSC in this year. So let's discuss one by one. So here in the first part of the question paper, you can see, explain with literary examples how Renaissance humanism of 16th century Europe sought to fuse scholarship with ethics. You know, in this part of this question, already here we can say that Renaissance humanism, the focus. That means, humanism is one of the important area in Renaissance period. And we already said, we can say that Renaissance is the period of reawakening or reawake or this rebirth of the period in that time. That means especially the influence of the society and the changing pattern. That means, the importance of classical works and so all these are the important features in this, and in this we have to add in this answer. Okay, that means classical learning here, classical learning. So this part of question mainly we have to add the classical learning, the elements of classical learning required in this answer. And the next one is civic responsibility. Civic responsibility we have to add. So this is a keyword we have to add in this answer. And next one is, this Renaissance humanism in the 16th century Europe, mainly it was an intellectual movement. It's not only the literary movement, and this is an intellectual movement as well. Okay, so that's what we have to do in this area. So here, this question mainly based on the 16th century Europe and how the 16th century Europe reflected in the literature. That means here we have to refer the important writings like, this is the scholarship with ethics. That means, Erasmus' work, then humanism, Cicero, Plato, all their philosophies reflected in that time, Renaissance time. So all these we have to add in this answer. And also we have utopia. That means, utopian concepts here. That means Thomas More. All these the important areas we have to focus when we answer this question. This was the question in this year. Then the next question was attempt a review of the theatrical properties of Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. Actually, sometimes we can say that Jacobean drama only, UPSC asks Jacobean drama only. But here, the question is different. Attempt a review of theatrical properties. What are the theatrical properties and the review of the theatrical properties in Elizabethan and Jacobean time? We know that Elizabethan period is the period of theater, the period of drama. That means, Elizabethan period is considered as the golden period in English literature. And mainly this period highlighted drama. That means, this period is always known as Shakespearean period, right? The Elizabethan period is always known as Elizabethan period. And, from the beginning of this period, Elizabethan and the Shakespearean or the Shakespeare's work extends to the Jacobean or James first time. We have Tempest, King Lear, all these works are the examples. So in this answer, we have to give these type of content in this answer. Specifically, we can say that the period is mainly spanned from the 16th century to 17th century. The 16th century to 17th century, and from that point of view, we have to write in that the context of this, the question. And at the same time, we have to add some literary works with the relevant examples and sequences like Macbeth, King Lear, and Richard III. All these are important examples we have to give in this answer. Macbeth, King Lear. Okay, and Richard Third. Richard Third. All these are the important areas we have to highlight in our answer in this second question. And the third one is common on Augustine verse, satire, as a humorous depiction of the follies of the people and the contemporary society. So here this question is about satire. In the paper 1 section A, we have the list of literary movement starts from the Renaissance period and till the Victorian time. So here there is a depiction, there is an indication of the satire in the syllabus, and here the UPSC asks a different way, that means common on Augustine verse satire. Okay, so that's the question, and it's a humorous depiction. So humorous depiction. So when we prepare all these basic or all these literary movement, we have to focus on the different layers of the poem. That means, the religious aspect, societal changes, political aspect, economic aspect, literary aspect. So in the different genre of the topic or the different genre of the period, we have to prepare when we assess this movement part. So this section requires we have, we can say that this is the 18th century period. Mainly this period spans in the 18th century time, and here this actually we can say that satire is a type of depiction, is a type of writing which, critic, it's a social critic. Normally this work was mainly based on social critic literary works. So that we have to specify here. Then next one, trace the distinctive literary qualities of the 18th century English novel. So here, this question and the next question, this question, actually the satire and the novel, there is a connection. We can say that in literary movement, we have satire, epic and mock epic, all these topics in paper 1, section A, literary movement part. And here the question is, trace the distinctive literary qualities in 18th century English novel. That is a rise of novel. We have a topic in paper 1, section A, rise of novels. So that is a relevant area we have to focus in this answer. The literary qualities. What are the literary qualities in this period? We can say that, mainly the literary qualities, we can say that, so this is mainly based on the Victorian time. So we can also consider this topic connect with the Victorian period as well. So here realism is an important area we have to focus in this answer. Realism, Victorian period or the rise of novel, like Elizabethan period, Elizabethan period is a period of drama, or this period is considered as the Shakespearean period. And like this, Victorian period is a period of novels. Okay, so the most of the novels, the famous novels, published and produced in this time, and most of the novels are, and all the literary works based on realism. Okay, like we can say that Henry Ibsen, Doll's House, and we have the different novels we have in the syllabus as well. So here, so this is the important features of this question, that means 18th century English novel. So we have to give the realism, the approach of the answer. We have to approach this question based on realism. That means we have to highlight realism, and here we have to give the examples of like Robinson Crusoe, then and like the moral aspects of the literary work we have to focus in this answer, and at the same time we can give some examples, focus on the examples based on the novels mentioned in the syllabus. At the same time we can give the outside examples as well, and with the help of the relevant chords and sequence of lines you can write this answer, right? Then next question is comment on the use of wit and conceit of metaphysical poetry. So here this is another important literary movement in syllabus, that is metaphysical poetry, metaphysical poems. So, metaphysical poem is a type of poem which beyond the material at the same time highlight the spiritual aspect. So, with the reference of John Donne and the different writers, we can write this question very easily. Comment on the use of wit and conceit. Metaphysical conceit is specifically we have to mention in this question. And we can say that the metaphysical aspects of this work mainly, mainly it is based on, we can say that this is mainly based on the 17th century, period in English literature, and we have to add the intellectual, that means, the metaphysical like John Donne, the Flea, we can exemplify at the same time. Then Andrew Marvell works and John Donne, another workers, Sun Rising, all these we can refer it, because this question is not about a specific work. That means it's not about a particular poem. It's a generalized question. So when the general question asks, we have to give these type of answers in the and we have to give these type of points in our answers. So this is the first section of the question in 2024 UPSC mains examination. So let's discuss which are the areas mainly UPSC concentrated in this question. So you can see this is the syllabus area, and here from this we already discussed the question, and from that perspective we can easily understand that which are the areas UPSC focused in 2024 mains examination. That means, Renaissance, Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, then metaphysical poetry, then satire, rise of novel, then Victorian age. These are the areas mainly focused in 2024 examination. So we can say that normally these topics are the common trends, and normally, in the same question paper in 2024, UPSC asked the Paradise Lost and Rape of the Lock. So actually we can take it as a category in poetry, but it came under epic and mock epic. But in this year, 2024 mains examination, UPSC gave priority for this area. So this area is actually, we can say that this is a prioritized area ever in UPSC's previous question papers as well. So when you assess the previous question paper, you can easily understand that these are the areas mainly normally UPSC focused. So, these are the areas in 2024 mains English literature optional paper. So the next part of this question, we can discuss the next part, this list of questions. How does Shakespeare complicated the sense of justice in King Lear? So that is the next question here. Okay, then, so here this sense of justice, that is nothing but that is divine justice. Here we have to give the answer based on divine justice. That means, here some moral orders are there, and this the play King Lear gives some, that's about King Lear, the king's attitude in the beginning part of this play, and when the drama continues, we can see and we can analyze about the change of life and change of some sort of influence there. So that means, a person with the power and majesty, and gradually he turns into madness. So all these some sort of a divine, at the same time absence of moral order, we can analyze that drama in this way. So here, how does Shakespeare complicate the sense of justice? That means how justice operates in this play. So that is the question mainly concentrate. So here we have to focus on moral ambiguity as well. Moral ambiguity. Okay, so these are the main areas we have to focus with the help of quotations and the relevant sequence of this play. And the next question in 2024 English Literature optional question paper, so we can see John Donne's treatment of metaphysical love. So, specifically metaphysical love. The metaphysical poets normally interpret love, life, so all this in a different way. Actually, the love is normally they considered as in a spiritual way. That means, in this 2024 examination, here the questions based on the John Donne's. Actually, here in syllabus we have John Donne's 5 poems in UPSC syllabus, and this 5 poem we have to, in this answer, to justify this answer, we can give the important poems, mainly canonization. Here in this answer, you can highlight the poem canonization. So we have that 5 poems in UPSC syllabus, and relic, canonization. So John Donne is normally considered as a metaphysical poet, and in 2024 examination UPSC, in this question we can see that because in this question doesn't focus on a particular work, but it is a generalized question. So in this way, but we can take a poem from our UPSC syllabus itself, and that is canonization, and with the help of this poem we can write we can give a beautiful answer. That means, at the same time, good morrow there, good morrow, then love. Actually, so this type of answer we have to give in this question. John Donne's treatment of metaphysical love. At the same time, we can give another reference is relic. Another reference is relic. Both canonization and relic, both this poem highlights the value of love. Canonization, actually this is how religiously, how societal terms, and the definition of love through the religious way and the societal perspective. So all these mentioned. So we have to give all these in this answer. And the next one is the critical analysis of Eve in the character as portrayed in the Milton in Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost, book 9. So we know that this poem is an epic, correct? This poem is an epic poem in paper 1, and in 2024 examination, we have 4 books. In UPSC syllabus, we have 4 books. And this is the book 9. And here, the question is about Eve, Adam and Eve. And how critical, that means it's a critical analysis of Eve's character. That means we have to give how Eve's character leads to the overall poem, leads to the overall theme of this poem. So that's what we have to give here. That means, Eve is an innocent. That Eve is an innocent, innocent in the beginning time, and an idealization there. So all this we have to give in this answer. And in this part of this poem, the Eve is also gives an idealization. How idealized and how symbolically presents in that character in that poem, with the help of some lines, relevant lines, we have to give. So these are the next part of the question in 2024 examination. And let's check the trend. This is the next list of syllabus in paper 1. Here we discussed King Lear, asked, and the Tempest also there in the question paper in the next part. Okay, so it means that, King Lear or the Shakespeare is a very important area in UPSC exam. That's every year we get the question from Shakespeare. It's related with the writer, or it's related with the works of William Shakespeare. And here John Donne, and we already analyzed. UPSC asked about metaphysical specifically. In the first section of the question we discussed metaphysical aspects specifically. UPSC asked, and the second part, with the help of poem, we have to explain about the John Donne's approach. So this is what the main aspect, this was the main aspect of this question from this section. And here we have the 5 poems in UPSC syllabus, and when we answer the question like John Donne, that means the metaphysical elements in John Donne's poem, we have to give minimum, we have to give the list of poems in our answer sheet. That means, all these are metaphysical poems, the list of John Donne's poem. And this poem generally normally discuss about love, death, nature and all this. So we have to give these example with the relevant chords, with the relevant lines. So that's we have to give. Okay. So let's discuss the next part of this question paper. And here, the Tempest. The Tempest, Prospero is a humanist, scholar engaged in stemming the degeneration of European society. So that is the question. The next part of the question is about Tempest. We already said Shakespeare's two play individually asked in the 2024 examination. And here we can see, actually in this answer, we have to focus Prospero as a humanist philosopher. Humanist philosopher. Prospero as a humanist philosopher. Then how can we justify it? And we can easily justify it based on the play Tempest. That means Prospero as a symbol of the European political renaissance. That means, what is the relevance of the European political renaissance? That means it was a rebirth or it was a reawakening for the change of the society, change of the life of the people. So we can just easily compare Prospero with the symbol, and Prospero is a representative of the European Renaissance. And it means that at the same time we discussed that this drama or Shakespeare's play or Shakespeare itself considered, Shakespeare himself is considered as the writer or the works belongs to the Renaissance period. And Renaissance is normally considered as the reawakening and the rebirth of literary time. And here, Prospero is a representative in this play. We can easily justify with the help of an example. That means his forgiveness, his humanistic characters. Because in the initial time, Prospero presented as a cruel character. At the same time, he is very adamant. At the same time, he is like, in the play depicts that Prospero is waiting to do his revenge. He wants to do something against Antonio, Alonso and all. But when the play progresses, we can easily understand that the Prospero is trying to change his life and his daughter Miranda's life. So all these are the main theme in that play indicates it is a reference. We can say that it is a reference of the Renaissance period, and it is a representation of the change of political Renaissance period in England. So that's what we have to mention in this answer. And next one, discuss with the reference to the poems of Wordsworth, role of childhood. The question demands childhood aspects of Wordsworth in poem. Some years, when we notice the previous questions, the question based on philosophy, the question based on nature. So here is childhood. So here undoubtedly we can say that we have 9 poems in UPSC syllabus. We have 9 poems in UPSC syllabus by William Wordsworth. And we can take the childhood elements of his poem. Mainly we have to highlight odd intimation of immortality from the recollection of early childhood. And we can also refer about the Tintagel Abbey. So, this poem, generally William Wordsworth explained about childhood, mainly the relevance of childhood. Childhood as a symbol of purity. Child is the father of man. That's what the poem, Odd Intimation of Immortality, starts. So with the help of this type of quotes or quotations, we can elaborate beautifully the answers. Okay, so that's about the question from this area, William Wordsworth. And here we can easily add some relevant examples of William Wordsworth poem. How childhood memories and how childhood elements reflected in his poem. And with the help of, specifically, we have to highlight all intimation of immortality because that poem already in our syllabus. So with the help of that poem, we can easily, beautifully write this question. Okay, so this is about the next section of question paper. So here, next we can discuss the trend of syllabus, how the question asked from the syllabus. So here, John Milton, Paradise Lost. In the same question, 2024 paper 1, in the same question, UPSC asked again about Paradise Lost book 1. That means already 2 questions from Paradise Lost. And already we discussed the 9 and the 1 also asked in this year. Then Alexander Pope, Rape of the Lock. This is a compulsory question every year. Definitely we will get the question every year. And this year also UPSC asked the question. And William Wordsworth, we have 9 poems in syllabus. But the question here, gives childhood. With the help of, that's what I said. The question was based on, with the reference of childhood, we have to write about William Wordsworth, writing style. And here the very first poem we have to take as an example, and with the help of this poem. And we have Tyndale Abbey also, there is a reference of the childhood also, so that we can take it. Then 3 years you grew and she dwelt among untrodden ways. These poems are melancholic in tone. At the same time, there is a reference of child memories, because it's not poet's child memory, because this is a poem about Lucy. But we can take some references there from that poem as well. Okay. Then here, the next, so this is all these poems mainly based on this. So with the help of this poem, we can easily write this question. Then the next part of the question paper, do you think ending of Doll's House is too radical to suit the taste of any sober society? So this type of question normally we can see in the previous years also. That means, feminist approach of Doll's House, then male-dominated, male chauvinist society, and Nora Helmer is a representative of the typical housewife. That means a typical lady character. Like that's the feminist approach of actually the play itself is in a feminist point of view. So this question is based on, we can easily write about the sober society. That means how the society exists, the male-dominated aspect there, the society and religion, how treats a man and how treats a woman. And it depends on the purity, it depends on the behavior, the family commitment. All these are the main theme of that play, Doll's House. Based on some sequences of Torvald Helmer and Nora Helmer dialogue, and with the help of some symbolisms like Tarantella and macarons, and all these are the exemplification we can give easily in this answer. Then next question is about Tennyson's poem In Memoriam. And this question is also a general question we can see in the previous years as well. It's a very important area. And here the elegy and with the philosophical reference of this poem asked. So here we can easily, we can say that this poem is a monumental poem, right? This poem is a monumental poem. We can give like this answer. This poem is a monumental poem. And this poem is, normally this poem search, memory. And this poem also depicts about suffering. Okay. This poem also depicts about suffering. Then, and this poem mainly gives the eternal life. The eternal life and all this concept indicates in this. And this poem also indicates about faith and doubt. Faith and doubt. Okay, so all these are the keywords, all these are the points we have to add in this answer. And this was a question from In Memoriam. And next question is, Milton's Christianized the pagan epic norms in the first 26 lines of Paradise Lost. Here, UPSC specifically mentioned about the first 26 lines. So, that is book 1. The 26 line itself, we can easily write this answer. We have a list of elements in epic poem. Normally, epic poem starts with muse, right? M-U-S-E, muse. The goddess of poetry, imagination. So, normally, we can see these type of elements in mock epic and epic. Actually, mock epic is like a criticism against epic. So, the epic poem normally starts with the role of muse. So, we can easily write like this. Okay. Then exaggeration there, what is the common features here? Exaggeration, lot of exaggerations there, the exaggerated element there, spiritual element there, supernatural element there. So, in that way, we have to give a good answer for this question. And this is a trend normally in this year, Alfred Tennyson In Memoriam and Henry Gibson's Doll's House. And we already said Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost, we have 2 questions, book 9 and book 1. We have 2 questions in this year. Okay, so this is the syllabus oriented trend in this year. Then next one, unseen poem. Okay, so in this unseen poem, you can see this in the Yukon of the other day, the mines found the skeleton and lemming and curled around some seeds in the burrow. Sealed off by landslide the Pleistocene time. 6 grains were whole and unbroken, picked and planted. 10,000 years after their time, they took root within the 48 hours and sprouted. A candelabra in the 8 small leaves and the modern Alaskan lupin. I am told the ways 3 years to come. To flower bud tease, up stars that drank upon sun and the unfurled early. With the crocuses of March, as if long deep, the burial had made them hasty. For the birth and the season for names, the ends of this passing on, like that kick and shift of an intra-uterine memory like this morning dream of being born in an eagle's nest with the speckled eggs and a screech, and the nest line likes a pent up the centurion's sudden burst. Of lust, or maybe the last elegies in Duino unbound from the dark, these new aborigines biding their time for the mind's night light, bring them their dawn, and these infants come back with age. Older than the oldest, things alive having skipped, and a million falls, and the registry of tree strings suddenly wrongs, and by an accident of the flowering, then all their timely descendants. So, when we read this poem, we can easily identify that the main theme of this poem is mainly based on nature. Okay, the main theme of this poem based on nature, then some, passes of time and deep connection with the natural world. Deep connection with the natural world. So, from this perspective, we can easily answer the question. So, this is an unseen poem in this year. So, for the unseen poem, the only solution, how to approach this unseen poem, because we don't know how the question asked, and because we don't have a list of writers, because unseen poem itself means that without the preparation we have to write without the on time only. So here, in order to practice the unseen poem, the solution is that we have to read randomly. That means, we have to read some poems daily on basis. It's like a reading comprehension in the poem, but actually it's like a reading, just an example we can say this is like a reading comprehension. But it's like, the mainly two aspects we have to improve to answer this unseen poem. Because we know every unseen poem has mainly two sections or two sides of answering we require. The one is that this is the surface meaning of that poem. That means the literal meaning of the poem. That means when we read the entire lines, we will get a literal meaning. But the second one is figurative. That means, with the help of some poetical aspect, some imaginative aspect. At the same time, there are some devices there, metaphor there, simile there, comparison there. So like that, in this way, with the two different perspective we have to develop when we read this type of poem. So this is only comes to the practice. So I suggest that we have to read the multiple poem, the different poems, and start think about these two different meanings of that particular poem. Two means I already said, one is the poetical, literal meaning of that lines, and second one's figurative or figurative reading. That means figurative meaning of devices with the help of metaphor, simile, comparisons and all. So that's what we have to, comes to only the training. That means this comes only through reading, the continuous practice only. We have to improve this reading. Okay, the next part of the question paper, the question from Gulliver's Travel satirizes the English custom. Gulliver's Travel, we can say that the British society, the England, actually how the people in England in that time, that means their class disparities, superiority, and actually Gulliver Travels, in the four part of the novel, these four parts generally criticize the British colonial system, how they use their power and administration to conquer the other countries in that time, specifically Ireland, and we can say that we can take an example like India as well. And so that's what this question demands. Political day, discuss with the suitable illustrations from the novel. That means in order to focus on this, we can give Gulliver's Travel, Travel to Lilliput, then four parts of the novel we can use. From the four parts we can take the example and we can write this answer. The next one, critically comment on the representation of the money and marriage theme in Pride and Prejudice. The simple question, normally, this type of Pride and Prejudice. And next one, how does the author of Tom Jones convey the sense of morality? Tom Jones, we can say that a person's life, an orphan's life, what will be the society treat him? So all these are the main components we can see in that novel. And here the question is morality. How morality played in that particular novel? Because how society treats a person morally, then politically, religiously. So all these are important part of this area. And the next question is about then character of Huckleberry Finn. Okay, character of Huckleberry Finn. So here underline the relationship between white and black culture in the USA. Then the next question from Mill on the Floors is a female crusade against the harsh constraints in which Victorian woman. All these we can say that we already discussed that Victorian period. Actually in paper 1 we have rise of novels, and the Victorian period we already discussed. Victorian period is considered as the period of novels. So here all these novels is a depiction of the Victorian society, what are the main issues in the Victorian time, because we can say that Victorian period itself is the period of highly industrialization and the development in England society. But at the same time, the industrialization improved. It badly affected the common people in England, and unemployment, lack of wages, lack of proper working time, working conditions, poverty and the class struggle became the result of industrialization in England in that time. So that's what all these reflected in this novel. So we have to give, hard times is the best example. Again, the question, hard times. All these are the Victorian periodic reflections. So hard times. Hard times itself, we can say that Charles Dickens explained the different, mainly 5 different interpretations. That means, education mainly. Actually, this novel starts with education. How industrialization affected the educational policy, and, Gradgrin, the character Gradgrin's role. That means factual based education, and how it affected the moral setting, the societal setting in a highly developed society, like industrially developed society. So all these are the references, all these are the content we have to add in this answer. Then the last section of the question is comment on the narrative structure of Dickens. That means it's not only about the novel, but with the reference of the novel, we have to focus the writing style of the particular writer here, Dickens. So this section, normally when you read this section, though the portrayal of Tess's character hardly presents a critique of the social and moral evils Victorian England. So this question mainly focus on the pattern of writing, the language used by the writer with the help of this work. So this type of question also can see in this section. That means we have to give the writer, the more importance to the writer in our answer with the help of the work. So that is the approach we have to give in this section. Okay. Then the next, Tom Jones' Master Blifil role. Actually, Master Blifil is the antagonist in this novel, and he played, his role is like in a hypocrisy, the hypocrite, he is the representative of the hypocrisy in the society, and how cruelly he treated others with the help of his money, his social status, religious freedom. All these we have to add in our answer. So let's check the trend. Actually, we can say that in the novel section, all novels dominated in the question paper. All the novels we can see in the question paper. Gulliver's Travels there, Pride and Prejudice, Tom Jones, Hard Times, Milan the Floss, Tess of D'Urberville's, then Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. All the questions, all the questions dominated in the question paper, directly or indirectly way, and in some extent otherwise or the work-wise. So these are the important questions in the paper 1. These are the questions asked in 2024 examination in UPSC mains examination, and these are the main aspect. In the next video, we will discuss about the paper 2 analysis, how UPSC asked the paper 2 and how the question trend in paper 2, section A and B in 2024 mains English literature optional questions. Thank you so much.